What's up, everybody? Or should I say, top of the morning to you. That's right, it's St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patty's Day to everybody. We're wearing our green. We love it,
Yep.
you know. We're leprechauns.
I was kind of worried. I couldn't find any green this morning. I was like, I know Tim's going to pinch me.
Oh, I was ready. I was ready.
I'd show up, but I found him.
This is like off-green, terrible.
Yeah,
I know you have green
that's all my
shirts.
shirts, which is funny because green is my favorite color, but very little green stuff to wear. But
Man.
you're rocking the
Yeah, I got all the green.
So.
But happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody. We're Dingers with the Boys. That's Boys with a Z.
Yep.
We're coming at you with another episode here on Selection Sunday.
Yep.
We're talking March Madness. It's already been wild, and it hasn't
yeah.
even started yet.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Just so many teams that you're like, all right, Arizona's going to win the Pac-12, and then Oregon beats them, and then it's like, all right, we'll see you. Hopefully, we'll beat Oregon for a lot of other people.
Yep.
Nope, Oregon beats CU, and so just who's going to get in? We're about an hour away from all the selections, so we're trying to get this in quick so we can go watch it all and everything.
But yeah, we're excited to see how close we are to who gets in and who doesn't. But yeah, big discussion this Selection Sunday is going to be bid thieves. A bid thief, for those of you that don't know, is basically someone who wins their conference that they probably wouldn't have got in if they didn't win the conference, and then they have at least one other team in their conference make March Madness. So in the last 15 years, there's been an average of 2 or under. Last year, there was none.
Which is crazy to think, because I feel like, I don't know, I guess I don't really pay attention as much as I thought I did, because when you told me that, I was like, wow, I thought there would be at least a few.
Yeah, I thought there would be a lot more too, but yeah, this year I think we're going to have 4 or 5, like maybe even more, but...
Yeah. Oregon being one of them, they were definitely on the bubble. Now, obviously, they're getting in, and I think it hurts CU, hurts CSU a little bit. All these teams that weren't supposed to get in, it's definitely hurting the Colorado teams.
Yep.
I do think both Colorado and Colorado State are going to get in.
I think so too.
Hope so. I think they're right on the fringe. I could see CU, possibly CSU, one of those two teams playing like a play-in game, kind of.
Yeah.
What would you think about them playing against each other in a playoff? Would the selection committee do that, do you think?
I don't know. I could see them doing that for sure because they're not fans really of any team. But as a fan of both CU and CSU, like...
Well, obviously, we don't want
we want to
that.
see both in, but... Yeah, I could see them being in it, but I don't know. CSU, if they do make it, they're... Should we pause?
No, you're good.
Sorry,
our Spotify might not end up working for all of you that are
listening on Spotify.
Listening. Yeah, well, let's just keep going.
We'll try to restart it. But yeah, CSU, this will be their 12th appearance if they do make it.
For those on Spotify, for those of people on Spotify, we are restarting the Spotify. We've already been talking about a few minutes, but sorry about that. But continue. You're talking about CU and CSU.
Yeah, so CSU, if they do make this March Madness, this will be number 12 for them. And then CU, if they make it, it will be number 15. And I thought it was also fun to see how many years the CSU and CU both made it. And the answer for that is 6. So this would be the 7th.
Which is
7 times. Yeah, but I wouldn't say that Colorado is really known for basketball. I think especially with Coach Prime now, like we're turning into a football.
What are they known for, really? I mean, other than
being awesome.
the early 90s.
Yeah,
we did great in football, but we have a season here or there every once in a while. But it's just
when you think of the basketball program, it really wasn't.
How many times did you say that there is that CU's made it?
So this will be number 15.
That's crazy to me.
I thought it was a lot higher, but
I think the men's team, especially, it's not like they've been powerhouses or anything like that, but I would say a top, at least to make it more. You know, I mean, they've had some really good players throughout the years and everything, but that's tough. Hopefully, they can make it this year. I think CU. unfortunately, I don't think CSU can make a deep run. I just don't see it. You know, if a team shuts down Isaiah Stevens and gets the ball out of his hand and gets him to turn it over and stuff.
Yeah.
CSU, you know, you got Nate Clifford, who came from CU. He's playing good. You got Scott down low and everything, and they're playing good, but I don't think maybe they could make it out of the first round, but if once they get one of those top 4 or 5 seeds, I just don't see them.
It really depends on where they get seeded, if they get in at all. If any 2 of those teams were to get snubbed, I could see it being CSU.
Especially how they ended their season, because CU ended their season really well. They were on,
really
an 8-game win streak, and then they lost to Oregon last night. And so I think that with CU, they're an interesting team. I think they could make a deep run, possibly.
I think they could, too. They got amazing players.
But... Well, you got Williams, who it looks like he's being healthy. He's coming off the bench right now, which I think it actually helps because he comes in and helps a lot of there. You got... I wanted to say Evan Batty, but that he used to be on CU. Eddie Lampkin.
Yep.
He's been playing great.
We both love Eddie.
Love Eddie. He's been playing great. And you got KJ Simpson, Da Silva, and, you know, just Hadley. All these good players, and they're playing really good right now.
Yeah.
I could see them making a Sweet 16 run.
That would be sweet.
I don't know if, you know, like maybe an Elite Eight. I don't see them competing for a championship, unfortunately. But I could see them winning the first few rounds.
Yeah,
and so
I think where CU always falls short is coaching. Like, I know we've talked off camera a lot. Todd Boyle, he's been there a long time, but I just don't think he's a winning coach, really. I mean, he's good, but he's not that championship level good.
Yeah. Sometimes it's weird because Tad Boyle, there's times that I think, is a really good coach, and then there's other times that he just doesn't make the adjustments that he needs, I feel like. And it's frustrating as a fan when you see some of the adjustments. For example, last night, the big guy for Oregon had 25 points, 12 for 12 shooting. And that's a great night for him and everything. But I don't know. You got to change something up. He's killing you.
What I would have loved to see is put Da Silva on him.
I think he was a little too big.
I think he's a little smaller, but he's probably our best defender in my opinion. And I think he's stopped big guys and taller guys before. So and I didn't really see them even try that last night.
Yeah, I remember him got switched on him one time, but I only remember one play that it was just like off a pick and they switched to him. So. I don't know. But hopefully both teams can get it. DU almost made it. They lost in their championship, so that was unfortunate.
Yeah, that would have been sweet to have 3 Denver teams.
Yeah, I remember, I think it had to be around 2012-ish that CU, CSU, and Northern Colorado got in, actually. I think they're in the Big Sky or something like that. But they won their conference, and so they got in. And so that was kind of fun. I think all 3 of them lost in the first round, unfortunately. CSU last year, they got in, but they lost literally the very first game.
Yeah, CU and CSU, I didn't even really want to bring up. They haven't had much luck in March Madness tournament. Both have losing records. Have never won a championship.
Yeah. I
think the farthest that any of the 2 have ever gone was CU made it to the Final Four once, but I think that was in like 1940 or 1942. It was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, completely different game back then.
Yeah. But I don't know. But we'll see on those. The number 1 seeds right now, I feel like are completely up in the air. You know, I thought it was like, all right, hey, these 2 for sure, these 3 for sure, these 4 even. But Tennessee lost, Purdue lost, Houston lost.
Yep. Yeah,
UConn's in. They're the number 1 seed.
I think UConn will move into the number 1 overall. Like they're going to be the best team in NCAA going into March Madness. I don't think they really care. That really doesn't matter. But
to me, you're number 1. It doesn't really matter which. Because sometimes I feel like just looking at brackets in years past, the number 1 overall doesn't have the easiest way to get there.
Well, I think I don't know if this is correct, but I thought I read when I was researching stuff that whoever the number one overall team is, they get to pick their path. Like, they get to pick which region they're going to be in.
They're always in the top left. No matter what, the number one overall is top left. But I don't know if they can say...
I don't know, so...
I doubt there's no way.
That's what I was thinking, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some advantage to, hey, you're the best team in NCAA right now. You get at least some kind of advantage, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're supposed to have the easiest path, per se. But it all depends on matchups and stuff, too. Like, it doesn't mean that, all right, you're playing just the worst records in the whole thing. Yeah. And, like, some of them maybe. But say Purdue goes up against somebody that, I don't know, like has another big guy that matches up with Edie really well. Well, all right, that's going to be harder for them than another team or whatever, you know.
And I think, like, what I read is it's not necessarily getting team matchups. It's what region are you in? Like, where in the U.S. are you going to be? Like, I
think the number one seeds at least, I think they play in their closest region, whatever the closest region is. And so, but who would your 4 top number ones be? Like, who would be your 4 ones right now?
So I think number 1 for sure, UConn is going to be in there. I think number 2, I think Houston still got to put them in. They still had a really great year. Yeah, they lost their final, or they lost in the semifinals. So that does kind of hurt them a little bit, but I mean, I don't think you can really take the number 1 seed away for them. Sadly, I do think Purdue is still going to be a number 1 seed. Yeah. But I was super happy to see Wisconsin beat them, but I think that final is going on right now, or happened earlier. They're playing Illinois for the final. But yeah, I don't think Purdue can really fall. But that 4th one it's going to be up in the air, because you had Tennessee that everybody said that it's looking like they're going to be for sure number 1, but then they lost early to Mississippi State, and they lost big. And then people are like, all right, let's just give it to North Carolina. Then they lost to NC State. Like, again, like, I think they lost by 10, which NC State was a bubble team.
They were on a run, too.
So, yeah, UNC was, they were playing.
I think NC State has a losing record, don't they?
I think they were, like, very close to 500.
I was going to say, I don't even think they were in no matter what.
Yeah, everybody was like, there's no way NC State wins, but, I mean, they won the ACC, so now they're in no matter what.
So you say Tennessee, North Carolina. Who's your other that you were thinking about?
The other one I was thinking, now that I'm thinking, is Iowa State. So they beat Houston, which they handedly beat them. That was a domination.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I don't think, which everybody has said Iowa State, their defense is,
because they were number 7 in the country as well last week.
I think them beating Houston could bump them up to that number 4 spot. So if I had to pick, I think Iowa State has deserved it the most. I don't think Tennessee should, because they did so poorly in their conference championships, and UNC they lost. So it just makes sense for a finals like champion of their conference to be.
I feel like we're forgetting one team. Was Marquette 5th?
Marquette was, I think, like
5th or 6th.
Yeah, 5th,
that was the other one, because they won. They beat Providence the other day, and
but then they lost to UConn. They lost to UConn in the final.
Well, and that's where, with UConn being the number 1 overall, they lost to UConn. It was a pretty close game, though. It was only like an 8-point game.
Yeah, it wasn't like super. It was really close at halftime, and then UConn just kind of poured it on.
But I think it ended up being like 6 or 8, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't that far off, but
And so that was my kind of like my 4th. I think Marquette's going to get in there. I could see Purdue possibly jumping out. I could see Houston, but because Houston lost to Iowa State, Iowa State's right there too.
Yeah.
I just don't see in this how they would put Houston above Iowa State after they beat them.
Yeah.
And so
I was just like,
I think Marquette's going to be one of the 4, though. Yeah. I think UConn number 1, and then honestly, the next 3. It's all up in there, even number 2s and everything. Because, like you said, so many people have lost and everything like that.
I think this could be another March Madness where number 1 doesn't win it. Like a number 1 seed doesn't win the tournament. But I just think like the Big E or the Big 12 and the Big 10, so that's like Houston's conference and Purdue's conference, I think they're just too good. Yeah. So like Iowa State being in the Big 12, I think that helps them a lot. So that's just another reason. Like their conference is one of the best. And
well, it's like then your quality wins are a lot more and everything too. And that's where some teams, it's like, oh yeah, you won 25 games, but who were your top wins? Nobody in the top 25 or something, And so that's where I think some of those guys like I said, Marquette, North Carolina, UConn, Purdue, Houston, some of those, they've played a lot of other top teams. And so those losses don't mean as much. Kind of like in the women's side where CU women, they have 9 losses, I think. 8 were to top 25 teams.
Yeah.
It's like, they still matter because it's like, hey, you need to beat these top teams if you want to be a contender. However, you're like, all right, these are the top teams in the nation.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to be ranked a little higher, even though you have possibly a couple more losses than some other teams.
It's going to be interesting, too, what this committee values more on what they put above certain teams. Is it net ranking? Is it, your quadrant 1, 2 wins?
Well, because like the net ranking, CU, for example, is like 23 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think CSU was 27. That was before these last 2 losses. For both teams, but they were like up there, and they're not in the like AP rankings, and so I wish I was a fly on the wall. And I know you were saying when you're looking at these, and we'll talk the bubbles when we come back from break, but when you're looking, you're like, man, I thought it was going to be so easy, and all right, we have to pick 9 or 10 bubble teams. Oh, I have 25 to pick from. And so
I started looking at things a little bit closer. And it was like, man, now all of a sudden I have
a little bit more respect for those guys.
Teams, and it's like, man, you can make an argument for every single one of these, and there's not a lot of spots left. But
I wish that I was a fly on the wall just to see. Like, how do you even get to be one of those people? That'd be sweet, man. And all right, for your job, you just watch basketball? I know there's more stuff, but...
Yeah, probably just dive deep into analytics and...
Yeah.
And I don't know.
But like we were saying with upsets, I don't think any number 1s are going to win. Maybe, I don't know. I could see it being a 8 or 9 seed that is up in the championship.
Who do you think right now is the weakest number 1 seed? Between like Purdue, UConn,
but like the 8 that we said, pretty much. If all those would be number 1s, I know you're gonna say Purdue.
Yeah, you guessed it.
Let me see here. That's a tough one. I think UNC. I like UNC. I don't think they're as good as like what they are on paper. I think they could lose pretty easily early on. Arizona's another one.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm surprised.
Yeah, Arizona we didn't even say that, but Arizona's another one. I don't think they're the strong. It all depends on what Arizona team comes, because I've watched some of their games where it's like, man, you shouldn't even be a top 10. And then another one, it's like, oh yeah, you're definitely a top 1, 2, 3 team in the nation. And so it all depends on the Arizona team that honestly shows up. But I'd probably say UNC. How about you?
I think for the weakest, Purdue. Like, I just think Zach Edey.
He's future Nugget, dude.
He's good just because he's tall.
Future Nugget, man.
I think he's
going to wear Kyle's number, 56, and Kyle's going to get a jersey, or 57, not 56, 57, Kyle's number, and Kyle's going to love him every game.
I don't know. I'll eat my words if he becomes good in the NBA, but I just think he's too predictable.
It'll be interesting to see, but that's what we thought about Wemby, too.
Yeah.
I didn't think Wemby was going to do it, and he's doing great. Same with Chet and everything, and so I didn't think he was going to be able to, hang with these big guys, but I don't know.
I don't know.
But let's take a break, then we'll come back and talk some bubble teams, like who we think's going to get in and everything. We'll be right back. It's Dingers with the boys. We're on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, and Twitter. Go give us a follow.
Yeah, like Tim said, if you like the videos that we're putting out, definitely go follow and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. But let's just get back to the show.
We're back on this great St. Paddy's Day 2024. We're talking March Madness. We're going into bubble teams.
Yep.
There's a lot of teams that are going to be heartbroken after in about an hour or so.
Yep.
Who do you think is the very last team that gets in right now? Last team, if you had to pick one team.
Let's look at my notes. So I wrote down there's about 20 bubble teams that I wrote down over the last few days. So it's gonna be a little bit one team I think who deserves to be in, and I think this is a big one. I think Providence. I think Providence actually deserves to be in because they're 6-9 in quad one wins. And
what's a quad one win for listeners that don't know?
So a quad one win is basically how much of impact was this game, or like how good of a win was this. So to qualify for a quad one game, if you're a home team, you have to be facing the 1 seed, like best team, like number 1 through 30.
In your conference?
Just in the NCAA.
Okay.
Like these are according to net rankings, I believe. So if they're between 1 and 30, that's a quad one if you're a home team. If you're on a neutral site, if they're between 1 and 50, and then if you're a away team, if they're between 1 and 75.
Okay.
So if they meet those criteria, it's a quad one game.
And what did you say Providence's record was?
So Providence, they're 6-9. So in the 15 games that meet the quad one criteria,
they've played some top teams too, like we were saying earlier, Marquette and everything like that. So you say Providence is the last team to get in?
Yeah, I think what's hurt them is their recent play. I think they were better in the early season, and they've kind of been slipping, but I think that's why they're everywhere I've seen is they're one of the first 4 out.
Yeah.
But I mean, just
it's
looking
well, and it changes every single game changes it. Especially right now. It doesn't even have to be with those people, those teams, but every single game, once it goes final, those first 4 out, first 4 in, whatever, always changes.
Yeah.
My last team to get in is my boy, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from Indiana State. You know, I don't know if I don't know if they deserve to get in. I mean, they're not a bad team. You know, I just like watching them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I want them to be in because I want to root for them.
I think it would be good for the committee to put him in too, just because he is a very popular name and
for sure,
very fun player to watch. So I mean, I think it could.
I feel like he kind of came out of nowhere too.
Yeah.
It was like, where did he come from? You know, because before this year, I'd never heard of him.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It's funny because I'm on Twitter, and this was a while ago, and I see Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and I'm just like, what the heck? Like, did they spell his name wrong?
Yeah.
Click on it, and I'm watching highlights of this guy, and it was early in the season. I'm like, oh, this is my guy, man. I want this guy to take him to the promised land, man. And he's just fun to watch.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because I want them to be the last one in. I could also see them being the very first team out.
Yeah.
So I think either one of those, they're going to either be 68 or they're going to be the 69th team. And so
I could see that too. And what hurts them is they're in a smaller conference that nobody really knows about. It's the Mountain Valley or conference, I think that's what they're called. And I mean, they lost their final. They lost to Drake.
Yeah.
And I think they only beat them once in the season. They were 1-4 in quad one wins.
Yeah, so not great.
Not great, but yeah. So
and a lot of those are probably like the top 75 teams on the road, kind of thing like that. You know? And so it's
not looking good for them. Like, and there's so many like bid thieves, like we talked about earlier. Like, I would love it if they made it, but I think if they do miss it, it's going to be just barely.
It's not barely team. I know our buddy Steve wants K-State to get in there. We were talking last night. I think if they could have won one more game in their conference, they could have possibly made it, but I don't think they're going to be in there.
Yeah, K-State, though, actually, they're 5-8 in quad one wins. They're the second highest team of these bubble teams that I wrote down with the most quad one wins. So
interesting.
I think, you say they won't make it in, and I kind of lean that way too, just because there's so many bubble teams, and I think recent play helps a lot more than how you have all season.
Exactly. Well, and I think that helps CU, especially, and like we were saying with the bid thieves, where there's so many teams that were not going to make it or were on the bubble that ended up winning their conference championship. That knocks another bubble team out. That knocks another, because in the Pac-12, I know I keep going back to the Pac-12. Arizona is making it no matter what. Well, they lost. Oregon was definitely on the lower side of the bubble. CU was on the upper side of the bubble. So, all right, if CU would have won, they probably were getting in anyways. Oregon most likely was not going to win, but that Arizona win helped them a lot as well. And so, that, NC State, like we were saying, they most likely weren't going to get in. Well, now they're in. So that takes a spot away from the bubble. So instead of 10 bubble teams that can get in, now it's 9 bubble teams. Now it's 8 bubble teams. And so it just keeps going down. And so those bubble teams really want those top teams to win in their championships.
I think Oregon winning essentially knocks out Utah. I think Utah was another one of those that
I think Utah needed to beat CU. I think that was an elimination game for either CU or Utah, and the fact that I think Utah definitely needed to win one more after that, no matter what. CU, I think, was either way, but like I said, and you never know. There's been so many years where we're like, oh yeah, this team is getting in, and this team's not getting in, and then it's flipped. When the selection comes out, it gets flipped. And so by the way, guys, really quick, our Spotify, not sure what's going on. So I know you're obviously not listening on Spotify. You're listening on YouTube, but any of those people that ever listen to Spotify, sorry about that. We'll hopefully get that fixed next week.
Another one conference I want to bring up, SEC. I think they're a huge conference this year. They've got a lot of really top players, and they have a lot of bubble teams as well. And I'm going to be really interested in see what they do with Mississippi State and Texas A&M. So Mississippi State, they're the team that took down Tennessee. They're 4-8 in quad one wins, but they didn't win the conference. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that team, because I could still see them cutting them out and snubbing them. But so how much do they value that win versus Tennessee is what I'm going to be really interested about. I think Texas A&M, I think they're one of the first teams in. They had a winning record in quad one wins. They were 7-6, and they did pretty well in the tournament. Didn't win, but
Tennessee is an interesting team too. They're just, because I don't know, I feel like they're kind of just, it's hit or miss with them. Certain games they look so good. Other games, they just look so bad. And, I love Tennessee. I hope that I would love to see them get to the championship. But
if they're not a number 1 seed, they're going to be a number 2 seed for sure, I think.
Hopefully they can make a run. But who knows? But, there's so many things with March Madness. We're excited here in about 30 minutes from now, the teams start coming out. So we're excited for that. But let us know what you guys think. Obviously, by the time you guys all listen to this, the brackets will come out. But let us know what you guys think about the brackets, who got snubbed, who should have been a number 1, who you think's going to win. These next few weeks are going to be so much fun. I love March Madness. It doesn't matter if I like the team, not.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny because I could be doing so good in my brackets, but if a 16 seed beats the team that I had winning the championship, I'm all for it. That bracket busted, man.
I love those bracket busters too.
I want all 16 seeds to win. I don't care if I have all 4 number 1s going,
Yeah, that would be sweet.
I'm different than like some people get so mad when they're breaking. And I'm just like, man, it's gonna get busted no matter what.
Yeah.
I usually do fairly well on the first 2 days, and then after that, it's kind of going down. Yeah, but I'm excited. I just love doing it. It's gonna be a little different because we're gonna be in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So we're flying back on Thursday, and so we'll be watching on the plane. But we'll probably be sitting right next to each other, have 2 games going on each of our phones, kind of thing. Yeah. But that'll be fun. But let's go to our single elimination NBA greatest records of all time, regular season records. We had some upsets this last week. In the East, we had 1966-67 Philadelphia 76ers. That's Wilt to Stilt, beast. And in the series, he was such a beast.
Oh, he was grabbing boards left and right.
He had 27 boards and 29 points the first game or something like that. Yeah. And it was against the number 6 seed, 91-92 Chicago Bulls. Yep. Jordan is in that. That was right before they went on their big run and everything. But this wasn't even a series, man.
Yeah, this was our first sweep ever. Chicago won. But it wasn't like super far apart. Like
pretty close games.
I think the closest game was maybe 3 or 4.
I think there was 2 that were like 4 points. So it wasn't like it was that, but the fact that Wilt couldn't get one win is crazy to me. Well, and so that's where it's...
I didn't recognize any of the other names, to be honest, on Wilt Chamberlain's team. I knew Wilt, obviously. But yeah, some of the other names And
so it definitely changes things up.
But, and I mean, that's another one, like where we talked last week, 3-point line wasn't established, but the simulations use 3-point line. So that's like a difference, but a factor, but
And then on the West, we had the number 3 2014-15 Golden State Warriors, another Warriors team, versus the 99-2000 Lakers. That's Shaq and Kobe.
Yep.
This one went to Game 7.
Yep.
I was surprised at who won this.
Yeah.
I thought Shaq and Kobe would take it down.
Especially how it started. They won the first 2 games and
then lost
they were
the next
close,
3.
but then they lost 3 straight. And Golden State ended up taking it in 7, but Shaquille O'Neal, he had a monster series.
Oh, yeah. I think he
had 19 rebounds.
I think he was player of the game almost every single game, even if they lost or not. You know, it was just Shaq was such, especially right then, it was just such a beastly Shaq.
The one thing that I saw in that simulation that I don't necessarily agree with was Kobe Bryant. He had really bad games.
Yeah.
A few of them.
Which he was young at that time, but still.
Yeah, but...
Because it's not like the Kobe that we're thinking necessarily. Yeah. It's like very early, but it's not like he was... Like, he just completely didn't do anything. Yeah. Really.
Yeah, I don't think he was ever player of the game. Or there wasn't many times where he scored really well either, so...
Yeah.
And I mean, that Golden State Warriors team, they had Iguodala. He was a lockdown defender, but...
It was a good team. I just think I would have picked Shaq and Kobe at the beginning.
I would have too.
But next one, we got in the East 2012-2013 Miami Heat versus the 1996-97 Chicago Bulls. Yep. And then in the West, we got the 86-87 LA Lakers versus the 71-72 Lakers.
Yep.
I think in the East... my guess is the Chicago Bulls are going to beat the Heat. Even with LeBron and stuff, I think that they're probably going to take them down. In the West, I think the Lakers are going to beat the Lakers. Now, I would say I would pick the 86 Lakers. That was a really good team, and so I'd pick that. And so that would be going into our 8 teams. We have 2 Golden State Warriors teams, and we'd actually have 3 Chicago Bulls teams. And so we'll see. Maybe there's a couple upsets, and we'll see next week. Kind of get our final 8 going in and stuff. But we hope you guys like these simulations. I know they're fun for us. They're obviously they can be realistic, not realistic, whatever. They're just fun to see, and we enjoy it. And like we've said in the past, obviously we're not making any changes or anything because there's definitely some stuff that I would have changed, but. It's just, it's a good time. So hopefully you guys like that. But we're going to our picks now.
Yep.
I lost one, so I'm back down one game. So.
And then I'm upset with the Kings. I should have stuck on my wagon of not picking Kings, but I could have had a 3-0 game or week, but
I should have known right when you picked the Kings.
Yeah.
All right, I'm switching to the Knicks because it was just bad karma. I knew it was going to happen.
I think it was all this losing, got myself in my head. I still went 2-1 this week, so I'll take it. But
yeah, we got the Nuggets. You picked the Pelicans. Clippers, Harden didn't end up playing, so that was kind of a blow for me for sure. But it was some good games and everything. Even the Sacramento game, that wasn't that far.
Yeah, it was pretty close.
But yeah, the Knicks kind of.
I did mention the Knicks ended up getting OG and Obi back, and I think he's a big difference, big impact, great defender.
Yeah. But this week we're going. So me and Kyle are going to Minnesota this week for the Denver Nuggets game on Tuesday. We try to go to a away game. We try to do one every year. Sometimes we're not able to, but this is. I'm going to let you pick first. So we're picking the Nuggets versus Timberwolves game.
Yep.
It's on Tuesday. I'm going to let you pick first.
Well, I know, Tim, you have a horrible record. You have super bad luck when going to see the Nuggets away. I think, you're 0-7?
Yeah.
So that makes me kind of, nervous, but I can't not pick the Nuggets. I feel like I'd be a bad fan if I did. And I think, Minnesota not having Cat.
That's huge.
Minnesota's not nearly as good.
Yep.
Jokic always plays against Gobert really well. Last time
I got
they played,
45.
yeah, that's what I always think of. Last time they played, Jokic got kind of locked up, and we're 10-1, 11-1 in our last.
We were 12
since the All-Star break.
Yeah, we're playing
amazingly.
Yeah.
So
even when we get behind, we come back and play great.
So I'm picking Nuggets. I'm picking the boys.
Oh, this is so hard for me. I'm gonna go with Nuggets.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say you'd be upset if you didn't.
I almost want to not pick the Nuggets because then it's
maybe you're gonna anti-jinx yourself.
Exactly. Yep. So it's all right, if I don't pick the Nuggets, then they're like, oh yeah, see, you should have picked us. But no, I'm gonna go Nuggets too.
I don't think so.
Like I said, we're playing so good. It's so frustrating. I've seen where we've been up 20 on the road, end up losing games in the past, and buzzer beaters losing, and so
we gotta see a win.
I hope so much. This one, hopefully it gets there. I'm 0-7 on the road right now. Hopefully we can get this win, bring it back up, at least get one win. I'd be so happy. It'll be Natalie's first game on the road.
Yeah, it's a huge game too. Minnesota's still really close.
We play them 3 more times.
Yep.
Until the end, and it could have huge playoff implications.
Oh yeah,
and so
we keep on flipping back between first and second with OKC. And
we're playing right now. I know we were down by Dallas by I think 4 points or so, but hopefully we can get that. But all right, so we're both picking Nuggets on that one. Second one we got is I can't remember what day, but it was the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Boston Celtics in Boston.
That was Wednesday.
Okay.
Make sure.
I'm going to go with the Celtics on this. Celtics are playing so great always. They're just a great team, especially at home. It's something about at the Garden is just they play amazing. So I'm going to go Boston, even though Milwaukee has turned it around big time since the All-Star game. Doc Rivers is kind of maybe starting to find his flow a little bit. Yeah. They're playing really good. Dame and Giannis are playing good. But I'm going to go with the Celtics at home on this one.
I kind of want to, I'm thinking about picking the Bucks just to be different.
Do it.
But I just don't know. I'll go.
Yeah!
I think they can do it. I think it's going to be tough, but I think the Bucks can do it. Hopefully,
I think it's going to be a close game.
Crossed. I think it will be a close game. I don't see anybody really taking down Giannis on Boston. I think Porzingis isn't that great of a defender.
Yep.
But yeah, we'll see.
Okay. So you're gonna pick different.
I think I'm gonna pick different. But
all right. Sweet.
And then final game we had the next day on Thursday. We were saying the Pelicans versus the Magic. Magic are the home team. I'll let you go first on this one.
This was a hard one because I feel like this could go either way. I've been high on both of these teams at different parts of the season. Zion's playing great right now, though.
Yep.
And so, I'm going. This is the one that was harder for me.
Yeah.
Even though I think the other two games are going to be very close as well. I kind of, deep down, I knew who I was going to pick in those ones. This one, I'm going to go with the Pelicans. I think Zion, even though they're on the road, Zion's playing really good. I'm gonna go with Pelicans.
I know, I picked Pelicans last week. They won for me. I'm gonna go against them though.
So we're gonna have two different ones. Okay.
I'm gonna pick the Magic. I think they'll be better defensively, especially being at home. I think they just Zion's gonna be a problem, but I think if you can stop Brandon Ingram, if you can stop CJ McCollum, I think Zion won't hurt you as much. And I think the bench is really going to be an impact.
Yeah. Magic's a young team, and they can.
Magic is, they
are. At the beginning of the season, they were one of the top teams in the NBA. Yeah. The Nuggets lost to them, and
I think they're one of the top defensive teams early in the year too. So
this has some playoff stuff. I know they're both in different conferences, but both these teams definitely need some wins if they want to move up a little bit and hopefully avoid
every win counts at this point. So
especially it's just so crazy how close you lose 2 or 3 games in a row, and a couple other teams win 2 or 3 games in a row. Well, you're playing in the play-in games, and you never know what's going to happen in a one game.
Yep.
Anybody could beat anybody in one game,
And their records are pretty similar. I just pulled up the standings. Orlando is 5th in the East, but they're kind of flipping back between 4th. They're only a game behind New York.
Okay.
And then New Orleans, they're also 5th in the West. So
they both shouldn't be in the play-in. They should, hopefully. Yeah. But, you lose a couple key games, you can get right back in.
Yeah, I know. Orlando, they're only 2 games back from being in the play-in. And then New Orleans, they're 2.5. So, yeah.
I mean, that's really not that far.
No.
You lose 2, and the teams that are 7th, 8th win 2 games.
Yep.
You're right there. And so
I'm glad we picked differently. We got 2 different picks.
This could be a big week right here.
Yeah.
I could take the lead. Yep. You could go up by 3. This could be a big one. We'll see. But let us know what you guys thought about your picks as well. And so, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it this week. We had a fun day, St. Patrick's Day. Dressed up as a leprechaun today for niece and nephew, and they love it every time. They think that I am a true leprechaun, and I go mess with their house.
Maybe in a past life. Who knows?
Leave them gold and everything, and it's just so funny. I'll just send one picture to my sister, and they freak out and stuff. They're like, oh my gosh, I sent a picture of a duck in the grass today, and there's just, what's the duck? And I was like, you find my duck yet? And it just looks so weird.
Man, you gotta love kids.
So, but it's just so fun. And shout out to our friends Mark and Jamie. They just had a baby girl today. That's awesome. Can't wait to meet her. And, hopefully you guys had a great week. I know we're going to have so much fun going to Minnesota.
Oh, yeah.
Just vacation. Kyle's probably the number one person that I've gone on the most vacations with.
Yeah.
And so we have a great time just going. Neither of us have really ever been to Minnesota. I know I've flown in a couple times, but it wasn't anything, just drove out. And so can't wait to see Mall of America, Timberwolves, and just have a good time.
Hopefully get a win too. But sorry again for the Spotify listeners. We're trying to figure out that audio, but
they're switching over, and so they're having some glitches.
But hopefully the YouTube listeners, let us know. We've been trying to mess around with audio the last few weeks. It's definitely not any of our fortes. We're learning as we go kind of thing. But
let us know what you guys think, and any comments that you guys have that we can do better, or what you want us to talk about. Hopefully we're going to have a guest on here fairly soon, right before the NBA playoffs. We're going to enjoy March Madness.
Yeah.
So, but that's all we got today. You guys have a great week, and we will see you later, alligators. Peace!